Hello guys, today we'll discuss about the window input model. You can see the blackboard behind me. This blackboard is not good, I know. My writing is also not good, but whatever we are going to discuss is really good, right? So we will discuss that. So today we are going to discuss about this window input model. So basically, I would like to make it clear one thing that no matter if you are a C programmer, no matter if you are a Java programmer or a .NET programmer, it doesn't matter at all because this window input model is very much essential to understand for everyone, right? This is basically the core concept that how your events like keyboard press, any key pressed on the keyboard or any mouse movement, these all things are called the events. How these events reach to the window and how your window responds to it, that you all need to understand, right? So today we'll discuss that how your application, like if you are running some window application and you press some key, if you're writing something into a text box, you press some key and that key appears on your window on that particular text box. So how does it happens? When you move the mouse, when you click on the OK button or when you click on the cross button, then how does it reaches to the correct window? How does system identifies that this is the window whose cross button I need to click, right? So for understanding all that, we need to understand the Windows input model, right? So if I start Windows input model, then I will discuss few things first so that you can understand it easily. So okay, so there are two things at the core of the operating system's window input model, the hardware input model, which is called the hardware input model, in fact, right? So one thing is SHIQ, system hardware interrupt queue, or system hardware input queue. The second thing is RIT, which is known as raw input thread. And what is this? This is system hardware input queue. Right? The system hardware input queue and one is raw input thread. So what are these? Basically, when our operating system starts, like when we start our window, then many tasks are performed, like post, power on, self test, and the other thing is the bootstrap loader gets started, right? So bootstrap, what does bootstrap loader does? Bootstrap loader simply finds if all the peripherals are connected or not, right? So after the bootstrap loader is done and basic initialization is done for the windows, this particular thread, which is known as the raw input thread, this is also get initialized, right? When this get initialized, this remains in the suspended state. It means that thread has been started, but it will not do anything, right? It will not do anything. So apart from this, what it does, it also initializes system hardware interrupt queue. Right? This is the queue. This system hardware interrupt queue is started, and this raw input thread is started by the Windows operating system at the time of startup. Windows starts itself, right? So this particular SHIQ, this system hardware input queue, this is associated with the device drivers, right? We will discuss only two things here: the mouse and the keyboard, right? Mouse has a device driver installed in your system, and keyboard has also the device driver installed on your system. So keyboard and mouse, both device drivers, put an entry here through the device driver software, right? When you move the mouse, then using the device driver software, device driver software understands that yes, this is a hardware movement and I need to put that particular entry into the system hardware input queue. Right? So as soon as one entry appears into the system hardware input queue, this raw input thread, which is called the RIT, this gets initialized. Right? This is started. Earlier it was suspended, means it was doing nothing, but as soon as first entry appears in this, how does the entry will appear? Either you move the mouse or you press some key on the keyboard. Entry will appear here. Any device which is an input device which can provide the input to your system, if that is used, then first entry will appear here, and then other entries will keep appearing here, right? So as soon as the very first entry appears here, your RIT simply checks whether any entry is there. If there is an entry, it simply finds that from to which window I need to put that particular message, right? So this was at the center of the operating system. This has nothing to do with your application till now, right? So what happens after this? This is your window, right? This is your RIT, raw input thread, right? And this is your queue, system hardware input queue, right? So this we understood, like how these interact and how the RIT gets started, how does it get scheduled. But now let us talk about the main window. Suppose this is your notepad window, you are working on it, right? So every window, doesn't matter what kind of window it is, every window is associated with a thread. Every window is associated with thread. This is a thumb rule, right? So every thread also has a queue, which is called virtualized input queue, right? So what happens that raw input thread simply gets whether some entries here in system hardware input queue, and after that it finds out the correct window to which this need to put that particular message, right? So how does it find? There are two cases. We will discuss two cases. First is mouse, right? And the second is keyboard, right? So let's start with the mouse. So what happens when you move some mouse? Suppose you move some mouse, then an entry will appear here, system hardware interrupt queue. As soon as you move the mouse, an entry will appear here. If the entry is if the entry appears, this RIT, this raw input thread, gets scheduled, right? So as soon as it gets scheduled, it finds out that what is the window which is under the mouse, right? It has found that yes, this is the mouse movement. This is the mouse movement message. Someone has moved the mouse, right? RIT knows that yes, this particular message which has been placed in this queue is related to a mouse movement, or something has been done with the mouse, right? So what it does, it simply finds out what is the window which is under me, which is under the mouse. Sorry, not me. It's under the mouse. So there are various APIs which Windows has exposed, right? So one of the APIs is get window process thread ID, right? Get window process thread ID. Using that particular API, it finds out that what is my current window on top of which the mouse is there, right? Suppose this is the window. This notepad is the window on top of which you are hovering your mouse, right? You are moving your mouse. So in that case, it's your RIT will find that yes, this is the window, and this is the VIQ of that window. So what will do? It will simply take it from here and then put it here, right? Mouse message came here. RIT found that yes, this is my window to which this message should reach. It simply fetches that particular message, text fetches that message and put into the virtualized input queue, the real window application that we are running. And as soon as it appears in this window, when this particular application has its own way, all the programmers know that what is the way, writing the event handlers, there are particular handlers, how you write, it all depends on your needs, on a business needs. So that all happens here. So this thing is known to everyone, mostly who are the Windows programmer, that if there is a window, there will be a message queue, message loop, which will be waiting for an entry to appear in the virtualized input queue. As soon as one entry appears in this will get that particular message and process that. And this is how mouse works, how it works with the mouse. Now let's understand how it works with the keyboard. When we talk about the keyboard, uh, raw input thread finds out that with which window I'm currently connected, right? Every RIT, not every RIT, there is only one RIT. So RIT at a time is connected to only one active thread, right? And what will be that thread, window thread, right? So that particular window thread will be the thread of that window which is on the foreground. Suppose you are running many applications, right? You have opened Winamp, window media player, everything you have opened, and all of a sudden you decide that yes, I will write something on the notepad. You open the notepad. So as soon as you open the notepad, you can see that your notepad come to the foreground window. So whatever window is on the foreground, that window gets connected to this raw input thread, right? So when a keyboard event happens, like someone press some key, in that case, RIT doesn't try to found that I am under which my cursor is, under which window my cursor is. It doesn't do that. It does that in case of mouse, but not in case of keyboard events. In keyboard events, in case of keyboards, in case of keyboard events, it simply try to find out that to which particular window I am connected, right? And the window to which it will be connected is the window which is on the foreground, right? I just explained that what is the foreground window. So it finds out that what is the foreground window, and it attaches itself with this window, right? It gets attached to that window, right? And as soon as you press some key on the keyboard, it simply finds out that yes, this is the key and I am attached to this particular window, so I am going to put that message here. Suppose you pressed suppose you pressed K, right, on the keyboard. So that particular K will be placed here. And again, this particular application is processing its own loop, your own loop. Your business application is there. This is your business application. Based on the need of your application, you handle things like, in some cases you need to handle, like someone has pressed K, or someone has pressed F11, or someone has pressed F12. Then you have to do something, special. If someone has pressed F4, then you have to exit. If someone has pressed Alt F4, then you have to exit the application. So all those handlers are written, uh, are done by this by the message, under the message loop of this particular window. So this is how the actual message, the window message uh, related to mouse and the keyboard reaches to your application, and this is how your application processes them. This part is known to all the programmers. Means this part is simple for the programmers to understand who work on the Windows programming, who work the things like who write events handlers, who define the events. So that is the easy part. But this part, that how it reaches to your window, that is something we don't bother about much, right? But this need to be understood, right? So this was all about today's session from me. But I would like to know your response, that how was it, and how do you liked it, and if you didn't like it, why you didn't like it, right? So let me know about that, and have a good day.